everyone. Welcome to the Ritual channel. My name is Dana Schmidt Johnson. I am the community manager for the Ritual Society. And today I have with me CEO of Ritual Planner Sheila Ellis, as well as Mandy Hughes. Mandy has more than 30 years as a storyteller and visual designer, and she is the founder of Haint Creative, a space for readers and storytellers to explore, learn, and create.
Hi, Mandy. It's so great to have you with us here today.
Hey there. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
So, we're just going to dive right in here. This topic is so interesting to me, kind of combining different worlds, right? So, the big question is, how do you use tarot for storytelling?
Well, I use the cards to inspire creativity, obviously, and so what I like to do is I like to shuffle the deck, and then depending on if I'm using a spread or if I'm just randomly pulling, just intuitively take a look at what pops out and think about how that might influence what I'm working on. So and what I might be working on is writing a novel. I'm a novelist, so mostly I use the tarot to inspire storylines and world building, character development. Um, and so that's how I use it mostly. And then for everyday, wellness and spirituality and things.
What's the magic here, Mandy? What is the magic of the storytelling, and what experiences have you had using the tarot to tell your stories?
Well, so the magic of storytelling is just being able to be transported or transport your readers to an infinite number of experiences of realities, if you will. And so the tarot it's a vehicle for helping to inspire those stories. So my experience in using the tarot for storytelling started about a decade ago. So about 10 years ago, I was working on my second novel. I just finished my first. It was with my editor, and I was like, okay, well, I want to get started writing another book. What do I want to do? So after work, I always go for a walk I like to walk at the park. And then the park that I was walking at, we were living in the Tampa Bay area, and I went to walk over at Tarpon Springs, and I was walking down the little causeway out to this island. It's a gorgeous park out there. And I was just thinking about what I want to write. And then all of a sudden, this image of a woman appeared in my mind's eye. And she was an older woman. She had dark, beautiful, rustic skin. She had two silver braids. And she was crouched, kind of leaning over a table. And on the table were a selection of tarot cards. And I was like, whoa, tarot cards. What is this? Who is this woman? What's the tarot all about? Because my only experience until that point had been just what Hollywood teaches you, sensationalized. And so that's how it kind of began. It just really began with a kind of a vision, and I had to explore who this person was, and then I ended up writing her as a main character for my next novel. And in exploring the tarot and understanding what it is, I was able to not only write the story, but to use it as a tool to actually write the story. So that's kind of how it all started. That's the origin story.
I love it. So I'm just curious, are there any specific things about the tarot that you find particularly beneficial about like developing your narrative and your characters?
All of that. The colors, the images of the any figures that are included. Sometimes there are tarot decks that don't have figures, so you would lean on symbolism and color, anything that inspires you. I always like to compare the tarot with like holding your own art gallery. Like you have your own very own art gallery in your hands, and there are these just infinite ways of exploring stories and being inspired, and just really intuiting messages, however you're inspired by the art. And so that's just really how that speaks to me. Yeah.
So, expanding on that whole idea, I'm curious what happens if you pull a card and you're like, oh, well, that's not where I want to go. Do you just ignore it and move on, or do you follow that path and let it kind of like direct you into where you're going, even if that's not where you had kind of projected that it would end up?
So I pull the tower and I'm like, what is this? What is the tower doing? Then I would then pull, I would probably shuffle and pull an additional card to kind of get, inform me about this card. What's going on? What do I need to know about what's going on? Give me some clarity. If a court card pops out, who is this person? Because court cards are difficult for some, but who is this individual? I like to look at the court cards as personalities, as characters. They're characters in the story. And so who are they? I need to find out more about them. And then I'll just keep pulling as many cards as I feel like I'm satisfied with the outcome. Yeah. I don't think there are any negative cards or any terrible cards or bad cards. I think it's all in the way that we interpret that. And, and so, cause like the sun card is supposed to be the most positive, joyful card in the deck, but there are some people who are really bothered by it. It's off-putting, that naked baby on the horseback. So
Oh, I would say that it's like my husband and my oldest daughter. They're just put off by the sun. They're like, oh, it's sunny out.
yeah, God. Who needs that?
So I'm curious, Mandy, how this process that you've developed might be helpful for um, beginner tarot readers or experienced tarot readers in this process of creating stories.
So the same, like similarly, as I mentioned, having an art gallery in your hand. I mean, we read books, we watch movies, we travel to new places, we peruse museums, we're always learning about and experiencing new experiences. And the tarot really is an exploration of the human condition. So when you're looking through the cards, very much like you would be inspired by any of those, aforementioned mediums, you could definitely find inspiration in the images. Now, I do recommend, procuring a deck that speaks to you. It's if it's inspiring and how you feel about it visually and how it like might speak to you intuitively. But yeah, I would just start there. Start with what feels right. I know that, of course, when I was like, oh, this lady's at the table and she has tarot cards. What is this about? I was researching the tarot and I really found, of course, you find the Smith Waite designs, and those are the traditional designs, and you learn about those, and it's good for having an understanding of what's out there. But I really, whether you're beginning or you're experienced, just always home in on what is speaking to you personally, like what really feels right. It's like going into your closet, picking out a shirt to wear. What do I want to wear today? Oh, I like the black and white shirt today rather than, a yellow shirt. So, yeah.
Would you share what is your favorite deck? What do you use?
So, my favorite deck right now that you can put your hands on right now is the borderless Smith Waite deck. So love the colors in that one. And then my very favorite of all time is the deck that I'm creating to correspond with a book that I'm publishing this year. And it's called Mystic Storyteller. So that's going to be my favorite deck. And I don't have any copies yet because it hasn't gone to print. It's still in publishing process.
All right. Well, we're going to be all over that when that comes out.
Oh, so excited.
Yeah. So I am curious how, in this whole process, how have you incorporated the ritual planner into your creative journey?
So about 4 years ago, I was like, okay, I've used the tarot to inspire books. I've written a few novels, 3 novels at the time, using the cards. And I was like, I really want to, I'm kind of, feeling comfortable with this. I really want to track my readings, and I want to capture that information so that I might be able to, to write something that might inspire other storytellers. And so the first thing I said I need a tarot journal. So I researched for a tarot journal, and ritual planner was the first thing that popped up on my search for tarot journal. And I was like, oh, first off, I saw the spelling ritual, and I was like, oh, I need this in my life. I love this. And it just went from there. I went down a rabbit hole through the website, and I ordered my first planner, and I've just been ordering one ever since. And so I use it every day for a most every day for just a kind of a let me get a pulse on the day. What do I need to know about today? I like to um, do like a spread. I call it my kind of uh, get a pulse on my creativity spread. So, what's the theme for the day? What's an obstacle or an opportunity for the day? And then what's a blessing for the day? And so, I'll do a 3 card spread. That's my favorite. And then, so yeah, I use it that way just to track my own personal readings. But also, I initially started using it to capture just my intuitive thoughts so that I could compile those notes and write a book to help other storytellers. And so that's what I did.
That's awesome. I
So
love it.
it's amazing that you've been able to utilize that tool to help you capture your ideas and keep things going for your own creative process. I
Yeah.
think it's really easy to think of the ritual planner as just this, okay, yep, what's going on today? What's going on today? What's going on today? And you're like expanding that, and to see other people who do that too, with visuals, people will scrapbook with it and all kinds of
Yeah.
things. So to bring it into storytelling, I think is really fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the lines on the planner, that's great. That's for folks who like structure to be able to write on them. But I just would write everywhere. Yeah. Just capture all of the ideas. It's an awesome tool. Yeah.
Well, and you have a lot of other resources too on how to use the tarot for things like writer's block or
Yeah.
planning a book. How have you really harnessed the tarot for all these different purposes?
Oh, so I'm kind of I'm a planner, but I'm also an intuitive person. I like to just kind of follow my instincts. And so when something comes up in in my creative process, if I'm whatever I'm working on, I might pull the cards. I'm like, okay, well, let's explore more about this. And then so some situations pop up, and like writer's block. I haven't, really not struggled with writer's block until a couple of years ago, and really suffered with it. And I thought, well, I'll just never write again. That was that. It was, good while it lasted. But then I consulted with the cards, and I figured out, I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out a spread and what can we do, what's missing, and just kind of work through um, teaching myself how to use the cards to figure out what's missing, what's the block, what's the next step, kind of develop a process. And again, I just captured all of those notes, and then I developed a resource that other creative writers could use. And that's kind of what I've done. If I've used the tarot for character development, specifically, really gaining insight on those court cards, which I hear so many people finding, get difficulty in. So I thought, oh, well, I'll create a resource to show other writers how I use the courts. And I call it my courts of personality. And it also pairs the Jungian 12 personality types with the courts, because they really add a real robust layer, on those. So yeah, just kind of intuitively, what do I need? What are other writers saying that they need? So I really like to keep a pulse on the writing community, and um, I have a lot of Insta friends, and a lot of folks on social media who we're indie writers specifically. Most of us are self-published, others are traditionally published, but we are very supportive of one another. And then so I'd like to say that I'm the one who brings the tarot as the tool to provide support. So that's what I've done. I'm so excited. So the workshop, it's called Creative Storytelling with the Tarot and Ritual Planner. And I'm going to cover a fun story arc spread so that you just can do a real quick, just practice. We'll start off with a practice. Let's, come up with a story on the fly and let's go from there. We'll talk about plot development, um, troubleshooting. So, writer's block, as I mentioned earlier, and then also plot hole filling. So, as a writer, especially novelists, especially fiction novelists, as we're going through and designing our plots and figuring it out. A lot of times we might not see until along in the process that there's a real significant deficit, and so the tarot can help you figure that out. So I've got some really fun activities with that. I'm going to introduce also character development. So I will talk more about courts of personality and how I use the court cards. And then also how I incorporate the ritual planner in order to schedule my own writing time. And then also in order to get a pulse on my day. I really I feel like that, mental health, emotional health is very important to everyone. Certainly, being a writer, it's very important to me, and it's important too. And my writing is contingent upon how well I feel. So, the ritual planner has really been able to help me as a creative person to schedule out time to write every day, if I so choose, if I feel like I need to, and then help hold me accountable to, okay, I've got it set that I'm going to write on these days. So let me carve out some time, because that's very important to do. If you're a writer, then it's very important to carve out time, because it means a lot, to us, and it's important to our well-being. So yeah, that's how I'll be giving a little teaspoon of how I use the tarot, the ritual planner for that, and hopefully, I'll it'll be great, and it'll resonate with some folks who might be interested in using the cards to inspire their own stories.
Definitely. We have a lot of people, a lot of creatives in the society and in our ritual network. So we're definitely excited to be talking about this process of yours and bringing you in for our June workshop. In the meantime, Andy, where can people find you?
So my website is haintbluecreative.com. So Haint is Haint, color blue creative. And that's also my Instagram handle at Haint Blue Creative. And yeah, so that's mostly where I hang out. Instagram's that's kind of my home base for social media. And my website just has everything. You can find everything on there. Yeah.
Mandy, it was really fun talking with you today. I am so excited about your workshop. I can't wait until that comes up. We really appreciate you and your time and being here with us.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.